Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat.
Woo!
Woo! Here we go. We got me and Anand in the studio. D is out. He's in New York. To all of our New York Cathys, I apologize. I wasn't able to make it this time. It looks like we will be there soon. But shout out to everyone that turned out. We're going to talk a little bit about that in the intro. Also in the intro, we have an update on our boy Ari. I really want everyone to listen because not only do I want you to just hear what's going on and just kind of keep updated on what's going on, but we've also realized that maybe there's a place to chip in here. You know, I think a lot of our Cathys ask us for advice or help or questions. We have some help that we want to ask you today. And everyone's really included. Men, women, no children, please. But everyone else. There's something you might be able to help us with. So we're going to cover that in the intro. And then we got a lot of news to talk about. I mean, we kind of accidentally went down like a bit of a dark hole here in the beginning. Things are just a little crazy. And I mean, we had to cover it.
I think we're just honest.
We're just honest. Look, things are a little weird right now. And we had to cover it. So it's a little doom and gloomy, but it's okay. Keep your head up. We'll get you
through it. It's a lot of good information.
Yep. Let's say it's a lot of things that, you know, maybe you could just prepare for or just be aware of. And I think it'll help keep everyone out of trouble, hopefully. And then there's just a lot of news. There's back to the office news. There's a really big tech company laying off a bunch of employees that we want to talk about. Disney's making a power move. And of course, the content machine, Kanye West, is back at it again on Instagram. So we're going to talk about that and many more things. Ready on it?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, Group Chat. Welcome. Today is the drama and the Dronin show.
Yep.
D's out. D's the new me, really. He's out more than he's in. And, you know, I don't know. I'm outraged. Now I see how you guys felt.
Yeah, exactly.
He did say, however, I just wanted to check in. He told me last night that we are super popular in New York.
Yeah, he said the turnout was fantastic. Great group of people. Met a lot of interesting people.
It's kind of my, like, you know, New York's fun. Like, I would like to spend more time there. And knowing that we're popular there, I like it. It'll feel like home. So we got to do a event soon.
Yeah, we're aiming for first week of October. This was a packed event with very little announcement. I mean, I think there was one Instagram post and may have talked about it once. So we should lock in a date where we're all there the first week of October and actually blow it out.
I totally agree. So shout out to all of our New York Cathys. Sorry I couldn't make it. I will definitely be there in October. I heard some murmuring before we get started that Heartbroken Ari, there's an update?
There's an update. We all had some laughs about it before we started recording here live in the office. But I want to ask one question before we get to the update that we talked about.
Sure.
What's going on socially? Are you out in the streets or are you just crying at home?
There's a mix.
Do you even have anything at home anymore? Do you just live in an empty box?
It's a minimalist.
I get my work done. Everything. I got school started again, so I'm doing my school work, working, and then
going out, partying, meeting any young ladies?
Yeah, other than the group chat event, have you been to like an outing, like at a restaurant or a bar?
At a restaurant, yes. I've been to a restaurant a handful of times. I've not hit the bars, no.
But restaurant, do you mean just like, did you just go have a meal with a friend?
Yeah.
Like, did you talk to any strangers?
No.
What do you think, like, the deal is here? Like, do you think eventually this will wear off? Is this just you? Are you, like, dedicated to this heartbroken lifestyle?
I'm definitely not the go out to the clubs kind of person. But I'm also not, like, just going to stay at home and cry for the rest of my life, you know?
I hope not. You're 21 years old.
It's also because you've had a girlfriend for 20 years. You don't even know how to go be social and, like, meet people. You've had it too easy, Ari.
Well,
time to get out there, out of your comfort zone. What's the news?
He bought a cat.
Two
cats.
Oh my God. I wish you would have told me that first. I wouldn't have even bothered with the advice. You're not going anywhere.
I sheltered two of them. I adopted them today. Actually, I finally got everything signed, but I don't pick them up for a couple more weeks. But
why
I'm
two?
extremely allergic to cats. So if this guy starts bringing in cat hairs,
he's going to.
He may be out of a job soon.
You're going to start itching every time we record an episode. Ari, why did you jump straight into two? Just to be sure you don't leave the house?
No. So they're two kittens. They're 5 months old each. And it's better to get two at a time because they'll have a friend who will groom them, right? So they groom each other by licking each other. So they'll have another kitten to play with, to groom. They're also sisters. So they already are very connected. And it becomes a little bit less work actually having the two of them because they can rely on each other more.
You know, I had a little hope for Ari at the group chat event. People were consoling him. Very nice people. And now I'm just losing hope, losing steam.
Especially two cats. And like, you hear the story, you know, he's just so emotionally hurt that, you know, he's like, well, you know, I don't want my cat to feel the same heartbreak I felt. So I bought a companion.
Yeah.
They need a friend.
All right. Listen. Okay. I want to be supportive here. Totally fine. I'm happy for your cats. I'm sure they will help. But I do think you gotta, like, it's tough. It's definitely tough, but you gotta get out there. Your perspective is going to change once you go meet people. And I'm not saying you're going to go find the love of your life next week, but like, I'm not even saying you got to go like hook up with a bunch of, you know, random girls from the bar. I'm just saying that by meeting nice people, you will look back at this version of you before too long and you'll be like, oh yeah, I was tripping. I don't know what I was thinking.
Time will tell.
You just got to give it 2 straight weekends. You don't have to go get wasted at night. Take some bikes, ride down Santa Monica, get some lunch, pop into a daytime spot.
Pop on a dating app. See if anyone wants to go ride bikes down in Venice.
Hell no. No dating apps. Okay,
well, if any of our Kathys out there, I mean, I don't know, this has worked before. If any of our Kathys I'd prefer female Kathys, but you know, want to take Ari for like a nice bike ride and show him that they're still good in the world. Speak up, you know, because you could really get this guy back on track.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, Ari. It's tough. I understand. But you got it. Just if you fucking spend all day watching West Wing and grooming your two cats,
you're wasting your best years, man. Your early 20s.
Yeah.
Should be carefree.
You're going to have a lot of time in life to sit at home with your cats and watch West Wing. Trust me.
Yeah.
You have no responsibilities.
I mean, it's not like they're that much work. Like they're cats.
Huh? Then why do you need two of them? To take care of each other.
So they take care of each other. Exactly. Even less work for me.
Okay, we'll see. I'm not worried about the cats. I'm worried about your future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let's talk about some news. Stock market getting shit on. I mean, I thought I'll be really honest with you. I didn't think that like we were about to rip necessarily. Like I didn't think like, okay, bottom, now we're just ripping like the old days. But I did kind of have hope that like maybe we were on like a slow growth trajectory, you know, a couple of weeks ago when we started. I think it was right after the inflation data or whatever happened that kind of started us going upwards. And that is just not the case. We're in the dumps.
Yeah, Powell got what he wanted. He wants pain. He said it. He told the American people, I want economic pain. Can you imagine? Like that.
Did he actually say those words?
Yeah, he says we need more economic pain to tame inflation.
So there's
They're
so we're silly if we're getting our hopes up.
Yeah, there's the Fed's steering the economy downwards, and it actually. I was thinking about this a lot. So inflation obviously is the golden word that the Federal Reserve and most economists are worried about.
Yeah.
What if inflation is here to stay? Meaning, because of macro factors. China controlling supply chain vastly for most of the world, Russia controlling natural gas to Europe,
Yeah.
Neither seems like it's easing up anytime soon. So cratering the U.S. economy solves those two things how?
Well, if everyone's so broke,
There's no demand.
that there's literally no demand, and so therefore your price of oil, even though if there's half the oil,
Right.
goes back down. I mean, that's kind of what happened, right? I mean, oil started dropping or gas started dropping, but it wasn't because inflation was going away. It was because people were not going anywhere. And
Yeah,
that's
so
the only
these
option
things,
in that scenario.
The vast majority of like the inflation we're talking about is out of our control. And with climate change, with extreme temperatures all across the world, right? You're going to have farms disrupted. So you're going to see shortages of pick your commodity of the week, right?
Yeah.
Like in the Midwest, there was massive floods just destroying agriculture. In China, because of extreme heats, a lot of chip manufacturing firms had to stop producing for like weeks on end.
Yeah.
And these things are only going to increase, not decrease. I mean, see how hot it is in LA right now? It's ridiculous.
It's wild. And they're already like, I got an alert. I'm sure everyone got this on there. Where did I get it? Maybe it was my building that did it. But like a warning about blackouts and stuff.
Yeah. Energy being flexed. That's in the state of California. So those things will keep inflation high, meaning we're going to disrupt supply chains all around the world, from commodities to chips to agriculture. If those continue to keep getting disrupted, how do prices ever come down? Because inevitably there's going to be a shortage of one of those things, the way the world is right now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. Literally, the reason why it was so bad is because all of those things were happening as well as we just dumped so much money into the economy. So the only thing that I can imagine is literally everyone is so broke that there's just no demand for any of those things anyway.
Right.
And essentially then there's no inflation. That's all I can imagine in that scenario, because you're right. I mean, when you read about Europe and you read about what's going on with energy issues and, like you said, like supply chain from China, that's a totally different topic. Oil is different. There's all of these separate things that are happening at once. I don't know. It feels really nuts.
And you're seeing on Twitter, anecdotally, you see like random shopkeepers in Europe posting their electric bill saying they're going out of business because electricity prices are so high because Russia's throttling natural gas.
And we're scared of nuclear.
Nuclear is getting a big push. I feel like nuclear is going to come roaring back. That's like the long-term solution. Like even Axios led this morning's newsletter with how across the world countries are gearing up to build nuclear.
You have to, right? I mean, the thing that's funny, I'm sure we'll figure all this out. I don't want to sound too doomsday-ish, but like, if you look at the news, it's like, or look at what people are saying, we're scared of nuclear. We have which I would consider, I mean, would you consider like being scared of nuclear? It's a bit of a like, I don't know if it's woke or maybe woke adjacent, or maybe like it's kind of a silly, like not really logical. It's just more like feeling based.
Yeah, no, totally.
The nuclear is bad. We also are having threats of blackouts and energy crises around the world, and we rely on dictators to get us our gasoline. But then, like California just passed that, like whatever, after 2035 or something, gas cars are illegal. And they just in one of the things that they put out, they said don't charge your electric vehicles. Like don't run your electric sucking appliances, keep your lights off if you don't need them. Don't charge your vehicles. Like it just looks, if you look at just a snapshot of the news, it looks absurd.
Yeah, no, I mean, completely. And, we'll talk about right now, I guess the Russia halts the Nord Stream gas pipeline, which is what we're talking about, like disruptions that we have no control over globally. So they claim it's maintenance. Everyone thinks it's just another tactic of war. So they unannounced cut it for 3 days, saying they said they're going to cut it for 3 days for maintenance. Germany, which relies on Russia for most of their natural gas, is like panicking. No one understands if this is it 3 days or is it 7 days or is it 10 days? Do they keep doing this? And is it going to be indefinite at one point if things aren't going the way they want in the war? Yeah. And, there's an interesting stat I read that $20 billion worth of natural gas imported from Russia to Germany outputs $2 trillion of economic value, meaning manufacturing, transport, businesses in general that are powered by that 20 billion. So that's more than 100 times leverage. That's more levered than any bank at the peak of the financial crisis.
What I don't get is like, I'm just comparing it to like some of the business challenges that we've had. Like, if you're looking at the global, just the state of what's going on in the world, don't you think it's a really big red flag that like, okay, we could see a war with Russia happening at some point. There is issues there. But if that were to happen, they could disrupt the oil supply in such a massive way that we need to find some sort of insurance against that being an outcome, as opposed to just kind of like blindly jumping in this war where it feels to me like such an easy flip to switch. Like they're just like, okay, well, then we're going to fuck up the oil supply. You guys deal with that.
Yeah.
It just seems like we didn't think about this. Like we haven't spent years knowing that this place is very adversarial, that we could have problems with, could really fuck us all with this one simple issue.
Yeah, it's basically as soon as Putin got in power, I think it's decades ago at this point, we should have been planning for alternatives.
Yeah.
So think about who we rely on as a country, right? And how volatile. You have China, which no secret what their plans have been the last 20 years.
Yeah.
For all these different chip components and manufacturing run by a dictatorship. Russia,
make everything we own.
Yeah, make everything we own.
Make so all they of can our, turn like off, literally all of our like prescription medicine. Like they make everything.
Yeah, they make all our prescription medicine. Russia, obviously, run by Putin. The Middle East, which is largely, royals, which are effectively authoritarians, control oil as well. So we have no like friendly partners. Nothing's really made in Western Europe.
Do you think we just relied too much on like, oh, it's all going to be good. Like it's a global economy now. And no one's, that'll incentivize no one to go to war. It'll just be too intertwined.
I think that's you see a lot of the like kind of geopolitical people saying this is the great deglobalization. So if it's the great deglobalization, inflation's not going anywhere.
Nowhere. Because it's going to take a long time for us to get anywhere close to deglobalization.
Mm-hmm.
On our side, I'm sure them too. Everyone's tied, but like, everything to us is tied to Russia.
Do you think the Federal Reserve is talking about this or just the group chat?
It pretty much stops here. It's about as high in the ranking that it's getting in the ranks of the government. You want to know what else is really alarming that I have no idea if maybe I'm tripping here, but I thought I saw a tweet that said that there was like a governor or someone who was requesting inflation stimulus checks. And so I just Googled while we were talking inflation stimulus payments. And August 23rd, 2022, it says, not all states are sending out inflation stimulus checks. But here's a look at the states that are. California. Households in California could get as much as $1,050 in stimulus funds. So we're talking about inflation stimulus.
If we're trying to create a demand, giving people more money isn't going to solve that.
This is wild. This is literally like a rehab center with fucking happy hour.
You're right. It is ridiculous.
Oh my God. I hope that I'm getting like some weird website or something. I just Googled it really quickly, but
no, I think you're right. I've seen rumblings. I didn't know anything actually went into effect.
I have seen it bubbling a lot, and oh my gosh, if that's true, this is a wild. We're in a wild time.
It's crazy, and then you see what's going on in Jackson, Mississippi. There's no running water.
And why is that?
So apparently there was a lot of storms in the last like couple weeks, and they already had a failing water system before, and it basically crippled the entire water system in Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson State, the football team, which Deion Sanders coaches, had to relocate because there's no water. And they've apparently been on a boil water alert since July. That's third world country level infrastructure. What are we doing? This is the United States, and you can't get there. Flint, Michigan was already a disaster.
Yeah. Now
Jackson, Mississippi, like this is only going to increase, is my point, all across. Like if we just want to talk about within our borders and say, Germany, you deal with the energy problem, not our issue.
Yeah.
This is happening within our borders.
And I don't want to have like the no shit moment of the podcast, but like what blows me away is how much money we spend. Like not only spending on ourselves and on like COVID stuff and whatever, but like we're sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine and whatever. That just scratches the surface of the money that we spend. How does Jackson, Mississippi not have working water? Like it feels so weird and ass backwards.
Like
but maybe that's just what it is.
Who in the government is doing an audit of all the infrastructure in the country and knowing extreme weather is going to continue every year?
Yeah.
And how do we rebolster the infrastructure across the country?
Yeah.
That would create jobs. That would cause these things to stop.
Yeah.
Like,
no, because look at what we did with COVID. They had a pandemic, emergency plan or what, they knew very well that a pandemic could happen. There was zero preparedness.
Yeah. Like how much of the infrastructure bill that was passed goes to this stuff?
I mean, I'd have to bet zero.
Otherwise they'd be fixed, right?
Right. I mean, you're talking about running water. You're not talking about like, it'd be nice if they had a new highway system.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild to me, man. It feels so, like I said, that's why I really get my news from recording group chat, because I can't even, if you go on, wherever you get your news, it's just a stream of incompetence and just craziness. I even saw that like Taiwan took a shot at a Chinese drone the other day. Like that hurt the markets, apparently. It's just fucking crazy town.
Yeah. I mean, we did pass a $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Like, are we going to have running water in the US in a year?
You're asking too much. That's $5 trillion. It's wild.
There's so many failed, like once you just peel the onion a little, you see how like everything is a house of cards.
It is. That is what, to me, I would say Trump, but then really COVID really exposed. Yeah. I think 2015, I had no idea. I'm just cruising along. Everything's taken care of. We'll probably never see another war again. It just has been absolute madness. Like I said, Trump, I think, just made everyone crazy. But then into really COVID showed how this whole thing is a house of cards.
I mean, it was back in 2015, it was only in the movies that the power grid could go out and then be just chaos in major cities.
Yeah. Like
that could happen tomorrow in LA. Would you be surprised?
No, not at all. I think it could totally happen.
Didn't you have like a weird power outage in your building in the last 2-3 years?
Yeah, I had one in my building that lasted a really long time.
You
had to go get a hotel.
People had to like take the breast milk and like run to like a place where they can refrigerate it.
Yep. It was wild. We had to stay in a hotel. Nobody knew anything. We were just getting like little updates. It was during COVID. So it was super, like even hotels it was weird. It was a really weird process. And we were just getting like, I don't know, every few hours they'd send an update and say, not yet, not yet. And it lasted days. And I don't know why. I think it was because like a minor accident happened, like with a car, like where a car like bumped into a transformer or something. But that's like, that could happen. The only thing that makes me feel better, because I know we just started with a lot of doom and gloom. I want to know what you think about this. The only thing that makes me feel better is I think everyone else is a house of cards too.
Every other country?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
like when you hear the China kind of little tidbits and you know what I mean?
Yeah. China, 100% with their zero COVID policy, basically put the whole country like at a standstill.
And they're like running. There's videos of people like sprinting out of buildings because someone tested positive and they try to lock down the whole building and don't let you leave for 10 days. And there's literally videos of people like sprinting out of there. I think there was one at ByteDance or Tencent maybe.
Got it.
There was a video of people sprinting for the doors because they knew if they got caught, they were going to have to stay. But I just, that's the only thing that makes me feel better is I don't feel like we have all these problems and there's somebody else who's really dangerous who has it all completely figured out. I think it still leaves a lot of vulnerabilities, but I think everyone is like in a bit of a shit show at the moment.
Yeah, I think Western and Eastern Europe are the most at risk because they don't really make anything and they rely on tourism. Yeah. Like Germany is advanced manufacturing, but then if Russia shuts off the gas, they're toast.
Yeah. They seem really vulnerable. I mean, the news and the warnings and even the memes, as sad as that is, about this winter in Europe is scary. How about this? You know what else is scary? Good luck out there. Oh, shit. All right, man. We try not to do it. I mean, at least we're keeping you informed. You want to know what else is scary right now? Being a person that loves their work from home life that has a job at Goldman Sachs.
I felt we had to revisit this because we just talked about this at length last week.
Yep. They're saying enough of the bullshit. Goldman Sachs is saying you're all in. We're in 5 days a week. Enough of the bullshit. We're in the office.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to backfire.
You think it's going to backfire?
I do.
I think it's a competitive move that Goldman's doing this in the sense that, I saw someone talking about this on CNBC earlier, that they're basically like waving the flag to their clients saying, we're cutting the bullshit. You're getting Goldman Sachs expertise with people in the office working together on your most important events, right? An investment bank is typically hired for the most important event for a company, whether it's selling, going public, restructuring, all the most important parts of a business. Most companies of size use investment banks. And I think they're telling their clients like, hey, we're cutting the bullshit.
Yeah, you don't want your investment bank people at home with their two cats grooming each other. You know what I mean?
Look, investment banks is a service business. Yep. It's like if the client says jump, you say how high. Yep. And in my short time in investment banking, we were told whatever a client wants, whenever they want, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you have to do it.
Yeah.
That's like embedded in the investment banking culture.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you do that with everyone working from home.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. I get it. I totally get. I think Goldman's totally right. I totally get it. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, those notoriously, have you watched that show Industry?
No, I know what you're talking about.
All the buzz right now. I just started it. I think you would probably like it even more than me because you know a little bit, you have a little experience there. But that world is known as one of the hardest working
by far
cultures that exists in any route you can take. And I get it. I think there's no way there people should be working from home. I think they definitely need to set that precedent. If I had to place a bet just for fun, I think even in the world of investment banking, it has turned a corner where people are going to fight back. I don't know if Goldman, I'm curious to see in 6 months, is everyone in the office? Do they have a full head count? Are they good?
I think Goldman can get away with it, but like a third tier bank can't. Because working at Goldman Sachs is still to this day, despite investment banking, in my opinion, not being the most elite jobs.
Yeah.
It's a place where you can get your next job. You can go from Goldman to a hedge fund to a private equity firm. And Goldman attracts the smartest talent in finance. They're still number one. And that in person has a different mentality than the quiet quitter. You don't go to Goldman Sachs to quiet quit.
Yeah. You
go to Goldman Sachs because you have ambitions of like killing it. That's the only reason you go there. You could go work at a shitty bank and work 30 hours a week.
Yeah, you're totally right. I've been so shocked that I I think even that crowd has gotten a little, used to their thing. I'm curious to see. I think long term, it's the right move and it will work out. And I think in like 3 years, they'll be in the office. Everything will be fine. They'll have a full head count. I think we're going to be shocked to hear stories or news about even that world getting sort of.
Think about the gap that's going to be even wider now between elite earners and quiet quitters.
Yeah.
Because the person showing up 5 days a week at Goldman Sachs is guaranteed to become a millionaire. Okay. Yeah. And then they'll probably be worth tens of millions of dollars eventually. Yeah. And the quiet quitter is going to be sitting at home with their parents.
Especially now, because I guess what you'd really want to do here is if you're someone kind of in that job or anything similar or whatever, you're really making a bet over like what will be the norm in 10 years. Because if the norm in 10 years is people back in the office and you have a 10-year head start of having been around, progressed in your career, propinquity, all that shit, you're going to be in a significantly better place in 10 years than the people who drug their feet and stuck to the work from home thing until they had to and it became the norm, right? Like this is to me, like what you're saying, this is an opportunity for like, if you're one of those people that's just a crazy hard worker and you just want to get ahead by any means, like I think you have a really big opportunity. We've said this, but the competition is just less.
Yeah, because the Goldman guy is going to go to a private equity firm, make a shitload of money. Then they're going to go to Harvard Business School, come out, make even more money. Then they may go be a CEO of a major company.
Yep. And you've just watched fucking 50 seasons of West Wing. No offense, Ari. That wasn't directed
Ari
at you.
Works his ass off.
It was the first thing that came to mind. That was not a jab at you. But you know what I'm saying? Or you're like, oh, I thought the work from home thing was going to be the thing. And then you're like 10 years from now, you ended up in a totally different place and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. The Goldman employee is not worried about their mental health.
It's part of the job. Yeah.
Part of the job is to be
we're
broken.
wrong. I mean, look, or we're wrong. And it's like it's a fucking work from home gig economy. And the people who stayed home and had side hustles and maybe they're the winners or maybe a little bit of both. But I'm just curious how this plays out over the next decade.
Yep.
Okay. Did you see that Snapchat or Snap is doing a big layoff? 20%. I even saw a tweet that said 25%. Big cut going on over at Snap.
Yeah, they're trying to get $500 million in cost savings because they're obviously losing money. Mm-hmm. Here's the interesting part about Snap. 2020, end of 2020, so before the pandemic, they had 3,800 employees. They grew to 6,400 during the pandemic.
Jeez. Okay.
And then they only laid off 20%. They probably need to be at 2020 levels, right?
You would think so. I mean,
because it's only a more challenging environment.
Yeah.
Apple basically just ended the game for like targeted ads because everyone can opt out. Snap is relying on brand advertising while we're heading into economic pain, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
What do people cut first? Their brand spend.
Yeah.
I mean, how funny is this? Snapchat, who relies on brand spend as their core driver of business, said they're cutting their own brand spend.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
That's not a good signal.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't say that. You should say like, we cut the Snap original shows and we made some structural changes. Don't say you're cutting your brand spend. If the company that relies on brand spend is cutting the brand spend, what should you do as a company?
Yeah, increase your brand spend. You're right. I mean, I think you would bet here that this 20% probably isn't. I feel like maybe it's just a big chunk and then there'll be kind of a bunch of little ones. I don't know, but I didn't realize that they increased their staff that much since 2020.
Mm-hmm. It's actually more. Sorry, it's 3,400 employees to 6,400 from March of 2020 to yesterday before they laid off 20%.
I would love to see Evan Spiegel's. I just feel like he's made a lot of money. He's great, but he's had a rocky road, man. They just went from being the all-star to getting ripped off and being completely irrelevant to kind of grinding back to then having this resurgence to then taking another hit. Like, it's been a crazy up and down road for them.
Yeah, he's got to be stressed out.
He's got to be stressed out, and he's got to be one of the most persistent people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
To be offered a sale, an exit from Facebook, pass, then get knocked off. It's just like, man, they're fighting over there. Okay, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Next up, let's revisit the mouse. You know, we talked about Disney. I think on the last episode it was, or 2 episodes ago, and we talked about mainly about the parks and the fact that they were increasing price at the parks, and we're talking about the details of that. But here's a new thing. This is a way bigger deal. That I guess it's just interesting. I don't know. I mean, it seems, I think on first pass, it seems really, really smart and seems like it's something they should do, but it's a really big move. They are exploring the potential for a membership. So
Yep.
Picture Amazon Prime, but for Disney. Except for they're going to include like everything. Like you would get Disney Plus would be included. They would tie in, you know, perks or some sort of discounts at the parks, merchandise, essentially everything Disney, you would be in on this subscription service. And, you know, obviously we don't know like what the access to the park would be, or how that would all work, but just an all things Disney membership seems like a real power move, and seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, it seems like,
yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer in the sense that it's effectively zero marginal cost for them to add this feature, and it's just found revenue.
Yeah. What are you doing? You're building a back-end platform, a
Yeah.
database, a fucking app?
You'd assume they already have ability to build that out, roll that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it seems like a no-brainer, and I bet you, I didn't think Disney Plus, I know D did, back when they announced it, would crush the way it's crushed.
Yeah.
I know their numbers are a little funky because they give away effectively Disney Plus for free in India for cricket. So that's like a free 100 million users, but still
with that funkiness, they supposedly have the most members of any platform.
Yes, I mean, it's impressive that they pulled that off, and this seems like a no-brainer, and I bet you would be shocked of the number of people that subscribe to this. I mean, if the parks, if you're the average family goes to Disneyland once a year if you have kids under 12, call it, right? And most families aren't doing the 1 day, they're doing the 2-3 day.
Yeah.
There's going to be a number where you're like, it makes sense to get the membership between getting a discount on Disney Plus, discount on parks, and the math is just going to make sense. I mean, think about how many people have a Costco membership. Why wouldn't you have a Disney membership?
Yeah. It also feels to me like the amount of like free money in these things, like how many people are going to sign up for the membership and then just not really take advantage, or, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you didn't make it out to the park, but you got your Disney Plus. It just feels like, man, when you have this monthly revenue coming in, I don't know if they can get any meaningful subscriptions at all. It's just monthly tsunamis of cash coming in.
Yeah, the mouse is powerful.
The mouse is powerful. Okay. Well, props to them. I mean, they're just one of the best. It's really funny because I'm reading this book about Apple after Steve Jobs died and like kind of what they did and kind of switching over to Tim Cook. And one of the things that they talk about in there is that Steve Jobs was really scared of, because after Walt Disney died, Disney sort of had trouble. You know, it was like, what are we doing without our founder, and what's the direction of the company? And they had trouble. I think Polaroid did too. There was a couple other companies that he mentioned. But man, it's just wild to see like Walt Disney, named after the founder. He was obviously such a big part of it and the early creation of it. And then to successfully be able to take that and make it the absolute monster that it is today is pretty wild. A pretty good case study in
no, totally
business.
It's crazy wild. Impressive. And before we get to our last topic, I saw a post from Mr. Exits, praying for exits.
Love him.
He said T. Rowe Price, which is obviously a major institutional firm and fund, wrote down their Stripe position by 65%. Just for context, for people that don't follow like Silicon Valley and private technology companies, Stripe was the mouse in Silicon Valley. It was the undebated number one most valuable private company that hasn't gone public. People would sell their like new firstborn child to get Stripe shares. That's how badly people wanted Stripe.
Yeah.
And at peak, it was 100 billion. And now if T. Rowe Price is writing it down 65%, that's not to say that the firm is revalued at, 65% lower than 100 billion. It's to say that's what T. Rowe thinks it is, which honestly, given what's happened to the public market in companies that are risk companies like Stripe, they're all down 70-90%. This is what I've been talking about for the last 8 months, is that the private companies haven't repriced yet.
Yeah.
This is a really bad signal to every late stage private company that if Stripe is getting written down 65%, you're going to have to look in the mirror and think about what your company is really worth. And they're just praying that the cycle starts again. It's crazy. I don't think anyone knows how to navigate this, but it's pretty scary.
And like we talked about at the beginning of the episode, it's not like you can safely say we're at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's crazy to me is like, this could be like a multi-year thing and the bottom could be next summer.
Yeah. And even if the public stock market goes sideways, which is what most people think, like, yeah, sure, it could go another leg down, but I don't think most people that I talk to, listen to, don't think we're going to retest the lowest of the lows that we saw back in probably May or June, but we could go down a little bit or go sideways for a long time. That means the private companies are toast.
Yeah.
At least the late stage ones, not the early stage ones.
Yeah. Because I think there's a lot of people that are banking on a quick recovery to get things kind of back to previous valuations, back like, okay, we can get back, and if we stay here for years, I just think people bleed out. I think it's a really tough situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, hey, there's a little more doom and gloom for you. Here's a fun story. Good old Kanye West. Gotta love him. Great for content. Great if you have a podcast that talks about these things. He's back at it again. This guy will just go completely silent, like delete his whole Instagram, and then he'll just pop up pissed off about something. And now he's pissed off at Gap. It all started with a photo on Instagram of his crazy sunglasses, and the caption was, "Gap held a meeting about me without me?" ? So that's it. That's all it was. And then now he's on a rampage here. He has screenshots of text exchanges, but they canceled the photo shoot with my kids in Japan without me knowing.
Maybe they told their mom.
Maybe their mom didn't want to go to Japan. Here's some sort of video of him that looks like he's sort of ranting to the Gap team. The vision will be realized. Let's start with stores in Atlanta. More screenshots, more photos and captions. So what do you think? This is all I got to say. You can give him credit for, what he's done in fashion, what he's done in music. Undeniably, the guy is a tastemaker. He's whatever. But he must be tough to work with. He must be. I bet you Gap and their CEOs and shit are like, what the fuck is this? Because I'm sure there was like meetings, I'm sure he skipped a couple phone calls. I'm sure that every brand he works with, Nike, Adidas, and now Gap, doesn't just have it out for him. I'm sure there's some miscommunications here and some, you know what I'm saying? Like, wild.
We've heard enough stories from people we know that have been in the Kanye business universe. Forget the Kim Kardashian universe. Nothing to do with that stuff. Just the business part.
Yes.
And by all accounts, he's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. Look at it. You're telling me every company? So Nike did him wrong. I think maybe at one point Louis Vuitton did him wrong. Maybe by not making him
creative director
or director, whatever. Yeah. What they did with Virgil. And then Adidas did him wrong. They were copying him. He's posted them like, oh, they copied my slides. They did all this stuff. And now Gap has done him wrong. So pretty much everyone that he's had a partnership with from a work perspective has somehow done him terribly wrong.
I think being in the business of Kanye West, if you're one of these like Fortune 500 companies, like you get the initial burst, right? Like the excitement of Kanye being part of your brand, throwing sweatshirts in garbage bags, the whole nine. You get all of it, the full Kanye experience, but eventually just goes bust.
Yeah, and it's almost dangerous. Like, do you want to take the risk of what the bust could be? Because the bust could be anything. He could go on a 3-month anti-Gap campaign starting today. He could make a song about it. He could make an album about it. He
and
could
guess
do
what? The kids are going to listen.
Yes, they're going to listen, and they will literally like trash Gap stores if that's what they're told to do. Is that risk worth the initial Kanye burst and the management of just the personality? It just feels wild.
Kanye's biggest fan, D, is not here to defend him.
I know. He's a big Gap guy too. We'll have to circle back and get his take when he's back. But look, this is all I got to say. I will give Kanye his props. I've been, pretty, I guess, annoyed by Kanye on the podcast. So it's not news, but like, I'll give him his props for what he's done and where he's innovated. But I actually think, in all seriousness, it's a really bad example for young creatives. Because I think that young creatives, whether you're an artist, musician, designer, like, I think that they think this is the way.
Yeah, like break everything, rules don't matter. You have to be
CEOs
Kanye level
matter.
gifted to be able to have that
maybe
persona
get away with it
and still exist. Because, I mean, how many times in music have you heard like, oh, this person's a nightmare, and then their career disappears?
That's the thing is, the sad thing for young people or for people who are interested in this is like, you just don't ever hear about those people a lot.
Yeah, because it's the person that gets signed to the Interscope deal and then is an absolute nightmare, and we never hear an album, but like you only know if you're in the music industry, or you have friends that tell us.
Or exactly, if we've heard it all day long. Or you want to start a brand, or you get a design job at a company, or you could have been. That's what I thought was so admirable about Virgil is, like, he put out a full video of like how to start a brand. This is what you do. Step 1, you do this. Step 2. And like, he just seemed very thoughtful about how he coached the next generation of creatives. And I just feel like, man, what you don't see is that there's really only one Kanye West. So for one who made it, there are millions over time that have failed because of this type of behavior. And
for sure,
it sucks, man. It just gives people the wrong impression of what a creative looks like, you know?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And before we get to shout outs, curious, have you listened to God Did, Khaled's album?
God Did? I got to be honest, I haven't.
Okay.
Have you?
Just that Jay-Z verse.
I got to at least listen to that. I saw that on
the
social.
3 billionaires. Pretty
I got to
impressive.
listen to that. I'll listen to that. I don't know why. I don't know how to really give an explanation without sounding like a hater, other than I just haven't been. There's something to like a DJ Khaled album that you gotta. I don't know. You gotta. Maybe I'll like when I go to the gym or something.
No one's been able to explain it to me, including all our friends in music. How does he pull it off? He has every A-list talent on this album.
What does like our friends say who know? They just say he's just.
They just say it's his energy. You know, it's like there's no concrete. There's no concrete explanation.
He's a goat. He should go down in like the absolute Hall of Fame of just whatever you want to call that, connecting, networking.
I mean, I said in a text conversation, he's the most impressive thing I've ever seen in music.
Yeah,
because it doesn't make sense, and he gets everyone to do everything for him. Whether it's Justin Bieber to Drake to Future to Jay-Z, like it doesn't even matter. These are the biggest stars we've ever seen in music.
And here's what's crazy is he can do this for the next 30 years.
Yeah, there's like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, like, he's not going to become irrelevant, meaning like he's not singing, he's not rapping. It's
as long as he can give the promo, God did. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, he can do that. He'll literally be 80, like, God did. And they'll be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll listen. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's trending to be the number 1 album.
I love it. I'm all about it. I think the other thing is we've heard stories about, this is pretty well known, but just for the listener who might not know, is like, I think for a very, very, very long time, Khaled was just kind of like, you know, a very like energy filled DJ.
Yep.
And, like he didn't really have much like pull, like he didn't have big deals and all this stuff. He was just the wild, energy filled, I'm sure fun to be around DJ. And man, this guy he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
Crazy.
God did it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all we got. We got shout outs. Who's reading our shout outs? Ari? You feel up to it or?
Jordan got it. At me.
Jordan. Jordan did.
All right, so we got a shout out from Leanne. She said, my husband Matt, an avid Kathy, is turning 36 on Friday. He's been building up a BMX company, for the last 10 years. Nice. He's had such grassroots success and everyone loves the company and products. Ultimately, he's an artist navigating the business world. Any advice you guys could give or even a simple birthday shout out to a guy who never stops working would mean so much.
Don't listen to Kanye.
Well, definitely happy birthday. And if he never stops working, he's going to be just fine. That's more important than anything in the business world.
Yeah, Matt, happy birthday. And let me tell you, man, sorry to be boring here, but there are some really great podcasts and books that will tell you pretty much everything you need to know. And, All In, we talk about All In a lot. Books, I don't want to be a jerk about it, but you could literally just look it up, best business books, follow some really great entrepreneurs, see what they're recommending. You will definitely get sent down a trail of really great books and podcasts. But the amount of stuff, you listen to business breakdowns.
Invest like the best.
Yes, just soak it up. If you're a hard worker, like we're told here, just soak up. There's so much you can learn. You don't need a business degree or anything like that. So
you could just go on YouTube and go down like a Ray Dalio rabbit hole, and he'll see him interview the smartest people in the world. David Rubenstein, who was the former head of Carlyle, he has a ton of stuff on YouTube interviewing the most successful people in the world, and you can learn so much so easily.
Yep. There you go. That's what I would do. Okay.
Next shout out from Vinay, who definitely, I'm sure, showed up to the group chat event in New York. He was on the pod a few years ago, and then he's kept in touch with us. Special shout out for his best childhood friend, Samir Ahuja, who had an epic bachelor party in Vegas.
Nice.
So it sounds like Vinay broke my finger, bruised my shoulder, but was worth every minute. Love you, bro. # lit and bit. Vinay's a pretty athletic guy.
Vinay, what the fuck were you guys doing in Vegas?
I don't know how he broke his finger and bruised his shoulder. This guy runs like a 6-minute mile for like miles on end.
Oh my God.
And he like does
hangover
crazy
here.
workouts. Yeah.
Okay, Vinay, well, glad you're all right, man. And hopefully, hopefully everything's okay. And shout out to Samir.
All right. And last shout out from Andrew D. My brother and I have been day one listeners. Peter is getting married in Jackson Hole in a couple weeks. I wanted to shout out his wedding and wish him the best from Andrew. Thank you.
Peter, congratulations. Jackson Hole, never been, but I know it's beautiful.
I know Fed Chairman Powell loves Jackson Hole. Loves a good boondoggle in Jackson Hole.
Tank the economy while you're out there if you can.
Yeah, heard Jackson Hole's great. Enjoy the wedding.
Yeah, look out for the boondoggles. Look out for Jerome. Okay, is that it?
Yep.
Okay, there you have it. Thank you for listening, guys. Like I said, I just want a reminder, if you made it this far, that means that you are a real diehard Kathy. And if anyone out there wants to take our boy Ari for a bike ride, it would be very much appreciated. Okay, we gotta all chip in.
Be a wingman.
Or be a wingman. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. Wingman, show him a good time, or take him on some sort of bike ride or a beach walk, or get him out of the house.
Girls are great wingmen too, because you're non-threatening. Oh, Ari's with the girl, and then he sneaks in and hits on another girl.
Bam!
Catch him off guard.
I would say they're the best wingmen. I would also say maybe you just want to go out with Ari and take a couple pics for Instagram to make his ex jealous. That also works. You can just be like, wow, wild night, me and Sarah. It's crazy.
Not interested in that.
Well, I'm just saying, think about it. Okay. All right, that's it. Everyone have a great, what day is it? It's Wednesday. Everyone have a great rest of your week. We will see you tomorrow night for another episode, and take care.